Our goal for every person who comes, no matter where you are on that spectrum, is that one day you will be an apprentice of Jesus Christ. You may even be someone who considers himself or herself a non-believer, or even someone who's angry and upset with God. That's okay, you're welcome too. We as United Methodists still believe that God's grace surrounds you in ways that you and we cannot even fully know. And so the result of this study, between now and Easter, you're going to have a chance to work with the resource. You're going to have a chance to hear about what it means to be an apprentice, until you're probably going to be sick of it. You may be sick of it already. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands if you are. But we want you, by the time this is done, if anyone were to ask you, what are you people about up at First United Methodist Church? We don't want you to say, oh, we're just a bunch of good people who get together every now and again. Well, so is the Rotary Club, you know? So are the folks who have coffee up at Choney. You know, when people ask you who we are, we want you to say we have one purpose, and that purpose is to make apprentices of Jesus Christ. What is our one purpose? I think you got it. That's our one purpose. That's what we've decided we've heard from God. And we need to be about it if that's the case. And then they say, well, that's all fine and good, but what does an apprentice look like? And we say, well, apprentice is somebody who loves God and loves their neighbor as themselves. What does an apprentice look like? Somebody who loves God and loves their neighbor as themselves. See, you're always you're two-thirds of the way there. You got it. Well, how does one become an apprentice is the next logical question. Well, there are 5 areas of practice. We connect with God and with each other. We worship God both in groups like this and privately, personally, on our own. We grow in our relationship to God and knowledge of God as we study in groups and alone. We share our material goods, our talents, and our stories of faith, and we serve. We may serve in our families, we may serve in our churches, we may serve in our communities, we may serve across the nation, we may serve across the world, but we serve. We connect, we worship, we grow, we share, we serve. Now, how do you become an apprentice of Jesus Christ? We connect, we worship, we grow, we share, we serve. If someone asks you, what are you about up at First United Methodist? This is what we've said we're about. All the rest is learning how to be about that. That's what we're going to do between now and Easter. Now, why would you do that in the first place? Is this just one more homework assignment? Is this just one more program that some church has come up with to fill our time? No. You know why we do this? Because God has loved us more than that grandparent who loved you when you were stinky, or that parent, or that brother, or that sister, or that child, or that friend. God loves us immeasurably more, and that word doesn't always get out. Do you understand? There are people out here who think that God is angry at them all the time, who think they cannot ever be good enough, who think they never can be worthy. We have a word of good news. God already loves you. In the event in Bethlehem, God's love became flesh and dwelled among us, full of grace and truth. And we are surrounded by reminders. I want these to be reminders of that. I want the lights in the sanctuary to be reminders of that. I want the books that you study about the great adventure to be reminders of that. I want the song that we're going to learn to sing that Jenny has started, and you will know it by the time we get finished with it. I want that to be a reminder, because we carry with us the reminders of God's love. In '86. I was in Bethlehem. It was January, but a little after this time. I was traveling with a group of clergy, but I was also traveling with my mother, whose lifelong dream was to visit the Holy Land. So she got to go. She was like a little kid. She turned 69 years old on that trip. She was like a little child. She had the best time. She did everything everybody else did. Walking where we had to walk and climbing steps where we had to climb. And until her death 4 years ago, that was her topic of conversation, even when she was losing her memory to Alzheimer's. She remembered that. In Bethlehem, she bought me this stole. It was made by a group of nuns there, that birthplace of Jesus. It's just a stole. You know I've got lots of them. You know? You see me wearing them. But on the other hand, it's not just a stole. This is a reminder of that person in my life who loved me unconditionally. One of them. I've had many. Thanks be to God. That person who loved me even when I was stinky, who loved me when I was distant, who loved me when I wasn't very lovable. And it became for me a reminder of God's love, which is even greater than that. You see, this is not just a program. This is a way that we know and participate in the unimaginably deep and broad and universal, without exception, love of God. Doesn't that sound like a great adventure to do to you? I don't see many heads nodding. Well, I can tell you this, it does to me. And I'm just here to invite you along.